We are talking about JPMorgan being the latest U.S. megabank to grant access to a Bitcoin fund. This is based on reporting by our colleagues Danny Nelson and Ian Allison, who were able to talk to a number of well-placed sources to get this on the record. This is a big step for JPMorgan, perhaps made especially notable given CEO Jamie Dimon's longstanding animosity to Bitcoin. Pick your favorite quote about Jamie Dimon hating on Bitcoin, and you see this headline this morning. Again, well sourced and pretty solid. That I think a lot of people are sort of seeing this as again one of these sort of transformational pivots in Bitcoin's mainstream adoption narrative. So that's sort of the big picture. We can get into the details. I'm going to throw this to you, Naomi. I mean, what is JPMorgan being the latest Wall Street institution to provide its clients access to Bitcoin? What does that mean to you?
I think it's hilarious because I do want to dig into some of the quotes that Jamie Dimon has said about Bitcoin in the past. Like, I think it's awesome they're getting on the gravy train here. But in the past, Jamie Dimon, JPMorgan CEO, has called Bitcoin a dangerous fraud. He's threatened to fire in a second any trader who touched the stuff. He said, if you're stupid enough to buy it, you'll pay the price for it one day. So, he has really not liked cryptocurrency in the past. So it is very interesting that JPMorgan is now diving into this and offering this. And maybe Jamie Dimon was saying this stuff when he didn't really understand it. So maybe it should give us all pause when we have CEOs of big companies or people talking, loudly about things. It doesn't necessarily mean that they get it. I would wonder, has he changed his tune? Is JPMorgan offering this stuff even if he still believes everything he said before? I'd be curious to know that. Ben, do you have a take on that?
As we've talked about often before, the demand for this largely comes from customers and kind of driving this. And I think this just kind of shows the status that Bitcoin has reached as an asset class. He can say all these derogatory things about Bitcoin, but at the end of the day, JPMorgan wants to, support its customers and it wants to make money. That is what it wants to do.
Even if he thinks they're stupid, apparently.
I mean, that's really what it boils down to, is that bottom line sheet. But Zach, I want to toss this briefly back over to you to get a little bit more on this story, because something that Dana Nelson also reported out with help from Ian Allison was that this was going to be an actively managed fund. Could you give us a little bit of an idea about what that means and how that differentiates this from the other things that we've seen?
Yeah, a lot of the existing Bitcoin funds in the space are passive vehicles, right? And Bitcoin has done pretty well as an investment in those terms. I think the thing that we heard from multiple people in reporting this story is that this is going to be a different take on it. So there might be some more fluctuation. Price goes up, sell. Price goes down, buy, or vice versa. The time will tell. So they're taking a bit of a different stance. I think a really interesting nugget for me was that NYDIG, which is a big institutional Bitcoin shop that's increasingly prominent in the space, is going to be providing the custody service on the back end here. So again, our understanding to the best of our knowledge is that certain clients of JPMorgan will be able to sign checks over to this fund. NYDIG will go out, acquire the Bitcoin, stick it in in their vaults, and those JPMorgan investors who have committed to that fund are able to cash out at their pleasure. So it's a bit of a different tack, but I think the fact that, again, one of these big back-end providers is involved in spinning this thing up sort of speaks to the nature of the market right now. I'll kick this to Will. I'm curious, what stood out to you from the piece? Any questions, thoughts that you had about this big development?
Yeah, huge piece. Another time we need a banner for Danny Nelson's scoop. Just I don't know what that is, fire coming up or little explosions at the top of the screen. That would be kind of cool. I want to ask you more about NYDIG, though, because they've come up a few times in the past 6 months. They seem to be just kind of explode into the scene over 2020 with the institutional investors that they've gotten on board. I don't remember seeing their name previously before they got all these people to buy in using their infrastructure. So what do you know about them? And what was their play during the bear market to be able to be in a position where they're holding JPMorgan's Bitcoin?
Yeah, great question. So they've been sort of stealthy since 2018. My understanding is they've been around since 2018. They brought on Ben Losky, who was the architect of the New York Bit license at that time. And they've really ramped up their cadence of announcements as institutional Bitcoin has become a much greater concern. So, they also notably serve as sort of a gateway to the Morgan Stanley Bitcoin fund offering. Some of that reporting that we were able to produce, I think last week or the week before, was, based on NYDIG public filings, right? So that was able to reveal how much money had gone into this Morgan Stanley investment vehicle that was related to Bitcoin. So, they've really come up in recent months. They've raised a ton of money. They got it from pretty buttoned up investors, including everyone from New York Life, Mass Mutual, the investment wing of I think George Soros was involved in one of these rounds. So they're certainly sort of ticking all the boxes that probably comfort players like JPMorgan when it comes to spinning up services like this. I mean, if you look at like Coinbase, right, they're facilitating a lot of these institutional buys that we hear so much about. There's a lot of these back-end providers that are, again, providing the plumbing to make this work in Wall Street grade fashion. So I don't know if that answered the question, but that's what I thought when you said it.
Good for me.
I have a question for you, Zach.
What do you got?
Go for it, Will.
I've no
always
input.
stepping on Will's
Nothing
toes.
intelligent to say. Go ahead, John.
Well, we saw Bitcoin back in the green this morning, and has there been any indication from analysts as to whether that was a reaction to the story?
I'm no analyst, but I looked at the Bitcoin price chart with great interest, and I can report that no, this is not related to Bitcoin's recent surge in price. This story came out around 7:08 a.m. Eastern. Bitcoin had perked up already before that. So anyone out there saying that this is related to Bitcoin price activity is misinformed. But thanks for asking, Jen. I appreciate it. I would love to claim our influence here, but I simply cannot in good faith. If you look at the Bitcoin chart, you'll see that being the case. Naomi, what do you got?
So, just as a closing note on this, I will say that I'm not a fan of actively managed funds. I think that is a big money grab from JPMorgan, and passive index is a better way for people to make money if they're interested. But just my personal opinion, and don't take that as investment advice.